In Lesson 1, students will complete a Listen, Think, Wonder activity based on the See, Think, Wonder thinking routine by Richard et al. And will listen to, analyse and discuss Neptune from Gustav Holst's Planet Suite. They will then watch the Bluey episode Sleepy Time to analyse and discuss how Neptune was used as a stimulus for the episode soundtrack. Students will discuss how dynamics, expression and tempo add to the mood of the adaptation and match the video. Students will be given the summative assessment rubric as can be seen in Part B, Task 3, and will then reflect and plan their own adaptation with a small group, choosing an appropriate video to compose a soundtrack to, and discussing the mood, instrument choice, and their composition ideas. The teacher will use observation, discussion, and questioning to diagnostically assess students' prior knowledge of concepts such as dynamics, expression, and tempo, and scaffold students towards film clip and instrument choices that will allow them to achieve the unit goals. In Lesson 2, students will work in small groups and use instruments of their choice to improvise a soundtrack for their selected film clip while watching the video on an iPad in order to reflect the mood throughout the piece. They will discuss how to use dynamics, expression, and tempo changes to match the intended mood. They will then notate their individual part using graphic notation of their choice that communicates pitch, rhythm, and structure. Students will then work off a checklist to peer review a partner's notation and provide a positive and constructive comment on the overall composition, as well as ensuring that all elements are included. The lesson will conclude with a whole class discussion of the different ways that students notated their pieces, as well as discussion about their compositions, instrument choice, how they are using dynamics, expression, and tempo changes, and any questions or challenges students are facing. The teacher will compile observations and provide formative feedback throughout the lesson. In Lesson 3, students continue to work on their compositions, applying the formative feedback from the previous lesson. They continue to improvise as a small group and then notate their composition as a group, using graphic notation of their choice, calling upon ideas from the class in the previous lesson. Groups then work with other groups to peer review compositions, again working against a checklist that includes pitch, rhythm, and structure, and also including a checklist that ensures that the played composition matches the written notation, and that variation of dynamics, expression, and tempo are included, although notating these is not necessary. The lesson will again conclude with a whole class discussion of the different ways that groups notated their pieces, the challenges in notating the many elements of the composition, pitch, rhythm, and structure, and how dynamics, expression, and tempo can be notated, questions or challenges groups are facing, and a discussion of what the next class will involve, including reminding students to revisit the rubric for the summative task. The teacher will again compile observations and provide formative feedback throughout the lesson.
Created using Powtoon.